As we've been reporting, Twitter has permanently suspended President Trump's account. The social media giant cited the risk of further incitement of violence as the reason behind its decision. It also said it would suspend any new personal accounts the president creates to evade the ban. On Friday, Twitter even removed posts tweeted to the president's official government account, which he rarely uses. The move follows Wednesday's deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol. Mr. Trump has been accused of setting the violence in motion with tweets and his speech, encouraging his supporters to literally march to the Capitol. For more on all of this, I'm joined now by CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson. Dan, good to have you with us to get into the nitty-gritty of it, because critics for years have called on Twitter to ban the president from its platform. Why was the company hesitant to do so before now?
It's good to see you, Lana. So, no social media firm has wanted to be labeled a censor, and they all have feared, at least up until now, that they would set a dangerous precedent. But Twitter kind of jumped into the labeling or the restriction of posts earlier than some of their peers. Last summer, they moderated posts using this manipulated media tag on video and photos that were misleading or just untrue. And this has evolved for Twitter, and it's also kind of helped spur other companies on as well. So there's been this push-pull dynamic with a lot of tension between, well, are we censors, or do we limit speech? Do we try to inform our audience? And what role do we play as editors? It's a really interesting dynamic at play right now.
Well, along those same lines, Dan, Twitter's decision to ban the president has reignited calls from some lawmakers to repeal Section 230, which protects social media companies from being sued over content that its users post. Would a change to that regulation prevent what we saw take place at the Capitol on Wednesday?
Yeah, it would, Lana. This is also really fascinating. So if you changed, altered, or repealed Section 230, you'd kind of flip what happened on its head. Now, social media firms, at least according to Section 230, are not required to moderate every single post on their sites. Look, this was designed in an era before the internet, but according to the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, this is really a cornerstone of the web as we have it now. And again, according to the EFF, they say that it allows social media firms to allow their users to publish posts and selectively edit the ones that they think should be taken down. Now, if you were to get rid of Section 230, it would get rid of those freedoms and would require internet firms to moderate every single post. So it's just not likely that we would see sites like Facebook, Twitter, or other social media at all. And as problematic as these sites can be, I think it would be a very different world if we didn't have the ability to publish to Facebook, Twitter, and other social media sites.
So interesting that President Trump was really pushing for the repeal of Section 230, just as the literature on this you couldn't even write. All right, Dan, what impact will this ban have on actually limiting Mr. Trump's influence? Do you expect to see him move to alternative platforms like Parler or Gab, which have less strict rules? And tell us a little bit more about what's happening to those platforms now.
Yeah, so this will have a significant impact on the president's ability to amplify and speak directly, instantly with his followers. But it will also have a huge impact on something that we haven't really talked a lot about, and that's his ability to consume information. Of course, Twitter is not just a publishing platform, it's a consumption platform, and it's algorithmic. So even though the president may have only followed a few dozen accounts, he was able to consume thousands of posts through lists and other content shared by his followers. So not only did Twitter limit the president's ability to publish, they also altered his ability to receive conspiracy theories, QAnon, and other kind of violent extremist content. That is interesting. Now, the second part of your question.
That is interesting.
Yeah, the president could could move to sites like Parler or Gab or other social networks that use air quotes free speech, which really they just don't moderate content. But that would be a challenge. First of all, he wouldn't have the same following. Look, these sites are small for a reason. They don't have the scale or technology that Facebook or Twitter have. Those Facebook and Twitter aren't just large sites. They're large sites that have invested very deeply in their own technology platforms. You can't just replicate that overnight. So yeah, again, the president could jump to these other networks, but these other networks aren't Facebook for a reason.
Well, we know that social media had an oversized influence in distributing the misinformation that led to the attack on the Capitol. I'm wondering, Dan, what you make of the president's claims that he might create his own news network, his own social network.
Look, the president can want to do all sorts of things, and he will continue to have influence post-presidency. But again, he doesn't have the technology or infrastructure that, say, Fox News does, that even OWN or Newsmax does. He could acquire these companies, sure, but they just don't have the same robust infrastructure that maybe Fox News does. And again, he could maybe start his own social network, but he would have the same problem. Does Donald Trump know how to build scalable LAMP stacks? I don't think so. He can hire some of those people, but he doesn't have access to the best developers in the world. Those people go to Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and again, the premier social network. So you can say you want to start a technology site. Okay, yeah, me too. But I don't have those resources, and neither does the president.
All right. Well, if you decide and have the resources to do it, count me in, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.